Welcome to our channel. Today, we bring you an epic, fictional tale set in the world of solo leveling, exploring a fascinating alternate universe. What if Sung Jin-Woo's shadow army ruled? In this story, Jin-Woo's shadow army doesn't just serve him temporarily, they seize control and reshape the world in a new dark age. It's a story of power, loyalty, betrayal, and what it truly means to rule. Join us on this journey into a universe where shadows conquer and the legacy of the Shadow Monarch is rewritten. Welcome, listeners. Today, we begin an immersive journey into an alternate universe of solo leveling. In this chapter, we explore what happens right after Sung Jin-Woo's decisive victory. The world is trembling, and his shadow army begins to carve a new legacy. Prepare for a story of ascension, struggle, and the dawn of a shadow empire that will change everything. The battlefield was silent, only disturbed by faint whispers of shadows shifting and the distant echoes of fallen enemies. Jin-Woo stood atop the mountain of corpses, his figure cloaked in shadow and determination. His victory had been absolute, every rival monarch, every resistance, had fallen beneath his relentless power. Yet, the moment of victory was merely a phase. The real challenge was what came next, the establishing of a legacy that would transcend time. In the beginning, his shadow army was a tool of conquest. Now, it was the core of a new world order. Shadows of monsters, fallen heroes, and even suppressed human warriors swarmed across the land, not as mere puppets but as independent, evolving entities. Jin-Woo's consciousness expanded in tandem with his army, understanding, strategizing, and forging bonds that defied anything he had known before. But such power drew enemies. Even in victory, shadows of dissent and suspicion grew into a formidable force. The human world, while shaken, refused to yield silently. Underground rebellions, rival monarchs from distant realms, and secret societies began to emerge, each fueled by fear of Jin-Woo's absolute rule and the mysterious, unstoppable shadow army. Within the depths of this empire, some shadows, born from ancient monarchs and elite hunters, started showing signs of autonomy. These shadows, once entirely loyal, now questioned their purpose. Whispers of consciousness whispered among them, diverging paths that challenged Jin-Woo's control. As the shadows moved and grew, so did Jin-Woo's internal struggles. Did he truly control these beings, or had he unwittingly created something beyond his understanding? Was this empire sustainable, or would it eventually unravel under the weight of its own shadows? Meanwhile, in the distant corners of the world, alliances shifted. Old gods of monsters and humans alike sensed the imbalance and prepared for conflicts that could shatter the fragile peace Jin-Woo sought to forge. Shadows stretched further into the fabric of reality, some benign, others threatening to consume everything. The dawn of Jin-Woo's shadow empire had begun, but at what cost? Every victory carved a deeper scar into his soul, and every shadow he commanded echoed with the silent question, is this truly my legacy? As night approached once more, Jin-Woo gazed into the endless horizon, a silent promise to lead, to protect, and to confront the shadows within himself. And so, the story begins. The second chapter of, What if Sung Jin-Woo's shadow army ruled? In this chapter, we delve into the challenges Jin-Woo faces as his shadow empire begins to face internal rebellion and external threats. The shadows are spreading, but not all shadows obey. Prepare for intrigue, conflict, and evolving loyalties as the empire's foundation is tested. As the sun dipped below the war-torn horizon, casting long shadows across the capital city in Jin-Woo's empire, unrest began to stir beneath the surface. The grand shadow army that stretched across the continent was formidable, yes, but power always breeds resistance. Within the darkened corridors of the Shadow King's palace, whispers echoed among the elite shadows, those once mindless servants now infused with growing consciousness. These were not mere soldiers, many were monarchs, generals, and legendary hunters resurrected into his army, their souls still simmering with past ambitions and grudges. Kaizel, the dragon shadow, paced restlessly, his emerald eyes flashing with unease. We follow, but are we truly free? He questioned, voice rumbling like distant thunder. Such thoughts were dawning in many shadows like him, a desire for autonomy, for purpose beyond the will of Jin-Woo. Meanwhile, outside the palace walls, human factions refused to bend the knee. Resistance groups formed alliances across borders, uniting former enemies under a shared cause, to reclaim their world from shadows. Tales of shadow soldiers' brutal discipline and their ever-growing legions gave rise to both fear and determined defiance. Jin-Woo found himself plagued by sleepless nights, haunted by visions of fractured alliances and shadows waging silent wars among themselves. But he was not a monarch to back down. In the throne room, amidst the flickering darkness, he summoned his most trusted generals and advisors. It is not just enemies beyond these walls that threaten us, Jin-Woo said with a steely gaze. The greatest threat lies within. If we cannot master the shadows we command, then all will be lost. His voice resonated through the chamber, igniting resolve and caution in equal measure. The monarch dispatched emissaries, men and shadows alike, to quell brewing rebellions and uncover traitors. Each mission was a deadly game of cat and mouse, where allegiance was as fleeting as smoke and betrayal lurked in the guise of loyalty. Amidst these tensions, Jin-Woo grew closer to Cha Hae-in, whose keen intellect and unwavering courage became beacons in the storm. Their bond, forged in battles and shared burdens, provided him solace and strength. But even their connection faced tests as whispers spoke of dangers threatening their fragile peace. As the first signs of rebellion erupted into violent clashes, Jin-Woo's shadow army was thrust into a brutal reality, a war on two fronts, within and beyond. The question remained, could the shadow monarch hold this empire together before it all crumbled into chaos? With the stakes higher than ever, Jin-Woo prepared his shadows for the battles yet to come, knowing that the legacy of the shadow army depended not on conquest alone, but on unity, sacrifice, and the will to endure. Chapter 3 of What If Sung Jin-Woo's Shadow Army Ruled? This chapter delves deep into the mysterious transformations unfolding within Jin-Woo's shadow army. As shadows begin to evolve and gain consciousness, new challenges arise, questioning the very nature of loyalty and control. Get ready for revelations and complex dynamics as the story deepens. In the twilight hours of the Empire's expanding reign, a transformation unlike any before began to ripple through Jin-Woo's shadow army. Where once there were only obedient silhouettes bound to the monarch's will, now flickers of self-awareness sparked like kindling in the dark. Jin-Woo observed these changes with cautious eyes. Shadows that were once mere extensions of his power now displayed acts of independent thought, choices, emotions, and even rebellion. It was an evolution born from the intricate bonds between the souls trapped within and the dark energies that fueled them. Beru, the monstrous yet loyal ant shadow, had always been a symbol of unwavering obedience. But recently, even he hesitated, pausing in battle as if weighing consequences beyond command. Such hesitation was rare and unsettling. Meanwhile, Bellion, the fiery phoenix shadow, soared beyond the battlefield with a newfound grace, nursing wounds and secrets alike. His glaring independence challenged Jin-Woo to reconsider the limits of his dominion. The changes weren't limited to the battlefield. Within the shadows themselves arose councils, gatherings of the most powerful who debated ideals of freedom, purpose, and allegiance. These clandestine meetings sparked silent tensions and subtle power shifts. Jin-Woo summoned these leaders personally, seeking dialogue rather than domination. His voice was firm yet patient. You are not mere tools. You are my shadows, but you are also my kin. Together, we must forge our destiny, not as master and servant, but as partners in shadow and light. Not all shadows accepted this vision. Some factions yearned for full autonomy, while others feared the consequences of upsetting the delicate balance. As the shadows evolved, so did Jin-Woo's understanding. The true power of his army was no longer sheer strength but the potential for consciousness. The lines between human and shadow blurred, presenting challenges that could unravel everything he built, or redefine it forever. Amid this emergence, new threats stirred beyond the plains. The monarchs long thought dormant awoke, sensing the shifting tides and gathering forces to challenge Jin-Woo's empire. Caught between the internal evolution and external enemies, Jin-Woo faced a crossroads. Would he purge the growing independence for order's sake, or embrace the shadows, transformation and risk the unknown? His decision would shape not just his legacy, but the fate of all shadows and humans alike. Chapter 4 of What If Sung Jin-Woo's Shadow Army Ruled? In this chapter, tensions escalate into fierce battles as external monarchs awaken and human factions intensify their resistance. Join us as the rising storm tests the strength, unity, and resolve of Jin-Woo and his shadow army. The fragile calm shattered like glass under the weight of approaching chaos. Reports flooded Jin-Woo's war chambers. A once dormant monarch had awakened in the eastern realms, a force ancient and merciless, moving toward the borders of the Shadow Empire. Simultaneously, human resistance groups, emboldened by whispers of dissent within the shadow ranks, launched coordinated strikes against shadow outposts. The empire, vast and formidable, now faced the crucible of real war. Jin-Woo's shadow army, though mighty in number and skill, was tested like never before. Battles raged across plains and cities, the air thick with the crackle of magic, steel, and shadow. The kingdom's capital became a rallying point. Jin-Woo summoned his generals and shadow lieutenants to devise plans against the twin threats. The evolving consciousness within his army was both a strength and a concern. Could loyalty withstand the harrowing war ahead? Cha Hae-in stood beside Jin-Woo, her eyes sharp, her resolve unyielding. They'll test us at every turn, but we will not fall, she vowed, embodying the spirit of the hunters who had long watched the shadows with wary respect. Among the shadows, fierce warriors like Igris and Kaisel led the front lines, their powers amplified and refined. Their battles were legendary, hand-to-hand clashes with knightly honor and brutal efficiency. Yet, amidst the blood and fire, moments of hesitation flickered. The shadow soldiers who questioned their purpose grappled with the morality of war, loyalty to Jin-Woo, or to their awakening individual wills. Jin-Woo himself journeyed to the front, a figure both feared and revered. His presence was a beacon and a command. Shadows surged at his call, reshaping the battlefield. From the east, the new monarch unleashed devastation, mighty forces clashing against Jin-Woo's legions in titanic skirmishes where entire forests fell to ash and rivers ran red. The night skies shone with the magic of embattled monarchs and hunters, shadows dancing between life and death. Despite the odds, Jin-Woo's army pushed back, turning tides in battles won not only by strength but by unity, strategy, and will. As the storm of war intensified, Jin-Woo's thoughts returned to the evolving shadows and his growing concern that the fractures within might be as dangerous as the enemies without. The fate of the Shadow Empire teetered on a knife edge, balancing between dominance and destruction. The next chapter is 5 of What If Sung Jin-Woo's Shadow Army Ruled? In this chapter, Jin-Woo faces the brewing storm within his own army and an existential threat from cosmic forces that could unravel everything he has fought to build. The stakes are higher than ever as loyalty is tested, sacrifices are demanded, and the fate of shadows and humanity hangs in the balance. Chapter 5. Shadows on the Brink. The Empire basked in the glow of recent victories, but beneath the surface, an invisible fracture widened, one threatening to crumble the foundation Jin-Woo had so painstakingly built. Within the ranks of his formidable shadow army, whispers of dissent and desire for autonomy snaked through the darkness like poison. Jin-Woo had forged his legion from fallen monarchs, elite hunters, and countless shadows resurrected by his power. Yet, power had a strange way of breeding questions, questions of purpose, freedom, and identity. The shadows, once thought mere extensions of his will, had begun to stir with uncertainty, their loyalty no longer absolute but tentative, fragile. At the heart of the capital, secret gatherings unfolded in dimly lit vaults. Elite shadows like Kaisel, Beru, and Belian convened, debating philosophies that ranged from unwavering servitude to the pursuit of self-governance. The embryo of rebellion churned quietly, threatening to erupt into chaos. Jin-Woo felt the weight of this growing unrest crushing down on him. He had always been a tactician, a warrior who conquered with shadow and steel, but now he faced a battle of ideals, one that no brute force could easily quell. Yet, the internal turmoil was dwarfed by a revelation that struck like a thunderclap, a cosmic warning reaching from the depths of the universe. Ancient forces, entities not bound by human or monarch laws, stirred with ominous intent. A force so vast and incomprehensible it threatened to swallow entire realms, shadows and humans alike. This warning came through mysterious emissaries, beings of light and void, born on astral wings, seeking audience with the shadow monarch. Jin-Woo realized this was more than a conflict over dominion, it was a fight for existence itself. He called for an unprecedented council, gathering his closest commanders and advisors, both shadow and human. The air was thick with tension and resolve as strategies were laid bare, alliances brokered, and sacrifices contemplated. In the quiet moments removed from politics and war halls, Jin-Woo found strength in Cha Hae-in, whose presence grounded him. Their bond, forged through fire and shadow, became a beacon amidst encroaching darkness. Together, they planned not just battles but the future of a world teetering on the edge of oblivion. With shadows questioning their place and cosmic horrors looming, Jin-Woo's throne felt fragile. Yet, his resolve hardened, he would protect this empire, even if it demanded sacrifices from the deepest parts of his soul. The coming days would test every bond, every shadow, and the very meaning of power. The Shadow Empire teetered on the brink. The question remained, would it fall into ruin or rise beyond legend? The next chapter is 6 of, What If Sung Jin-Woo's Shadow Army Ruled? In this chapter, Jin-Woo must unite fractured forces within his empire and confront the looming cosmic threat. Diplomatic efforts, fierce battles, and the challenge of forging true unity take center stage as the fate of the Shadow Empire hangs in the balance. Chapter 6. The Gathering Storm. The early light of dawn broke over the vast capital, but the city felt anything but peaceful. The weight of imminent disaster pressed on the hearts of Jin-Woo and his allies like a gathering storm ready to burst. The Shadow Monarch held council with his most trusted generals and lieutenants, human and shadow alike. The room was heavy with tension, lit only by flickering shadows cast by the ever-burning flame in the hearth. The cosmic forces we face are unlike anything we've faced before, Jin-Woo began, his voice steady but grave. Their power is beyond mortal comprehension, and their intent threatens all existence, not just our empire. His words drew a hush, followed by murmurs of fear and determination. Among those gathered were Igris, fierce and resolute, his loyalty unwavering, Kaisel, wise and formidable, and Belian, fiery and unpredictable. Each had felt the tremors of change within the shadow ranks and the shifting political landscape outside. Jin-Woo outlined a daring plan, not just to defend but to seek alliances beyond the empire's borders. He proposed calling upon former enemies and rival monarchs, emphasizing that only unity could withstand the storm. This gathering of shadows would be a diplomatic and military endeavor unprecedented in the histories of hunters and monarchs alike. Elsewhere, human resistance leaders debated their stance. Some saw the cosmic threat as a chance to negotiate with Jin-Woo, aligning forces for survival. Others distrusted the Shadow Monarch's intentions, preparing for war regardless. As messages flew back and forth across realms, Jin-Woo personally led an envoy to broker peace and cooperation. His presence was both a reminder of power and a test of trust. The chapter follows the tense negotiations, fraught with espionage, power plays, and the slow building of fragile trust. In the shadows of diplomatic halls, secret plots simmered, and old rivalries threatened to unravel the fragile alliance. The first clashes with cosmic forces erupted on distant borders, battles that blurred the lines between reality and nightmarish dimensions. Jin-Woo's army, evolving and adapting, fought with a ferocity born of desperation and hope. Amidst the chaos, Jin-Woo and Cha-Hei shared rare quiet moments, reflecting on the cost of their journey and the sacrifices yet to come. The storm was rising, relentless and unforgiving, and the future of the Shadow Empire, and the world itself, depended on whether unity could hold in the face of annihilation. The next chapter is 7 of What If Sung Jin-Woo's Shadow Army Ruled. In this chapter, the first major battles against the cosmic threat unfold, testing the unity and strength of the Shadow Empire and its allies. Sacrifices are made, loyalties challenged, and Jin-Woo's leadership is put to the ultimate test. Chapter 7. Clash of Titans. The skies above the Empire darkened unnaturally, stars flickered out as cosmic forces advanced, a harbinger of destruction drawing near. Cities braced, warriors prepared, and the air crackled with a tension few had ever known. Jin-Woo stood at the forefront, his figure commanding the battlefield with the shadows swirling like living armor. Beside him, the elite generals, both shadows and humans, readied their forces. The enemy was unlike any monarch or monster, the very fabric of reality twisted and bent under their assault. These cosmic entities wielded power beyond comprehension, defying the laws that Jin-Woo's shadow army had mastered. Initial skirmishes erupted with monumental force, shaking mountains and collapsing cities. Shadows clashed with ethereal beings as the ground trembled beneath their conflict. As battles raged, fractures within the army became glaring. Some shadows faltered under the immense pressure, while others surpassed expectations, revealing new powers born of the evolving army. Jin-Woo's leadership was tested not just strategically, but emotionally, balancing the lives of his shadows and humans with the harsh demands of war. Among the chaos, moments of heroism flashed like brief stars. Belian unleashed flames that scorched the void, Kaisel's blade sliced through dimensions, and Igris's unwavering shield held the line against impossible odds. But the cost was steep. Friendships were shattered, and sacrifices made that would echo through history. Cha-Hei fought fiercely alongside Jin-Woo, her determination fueling the morale of the weary. As the day faded into an endless night of battle, Jin-Woo grasped that this was only the beginning. The cosmic threat was vast, relentless, and hungry for dominion. Only through unwavering unity, sacrifice, and the forging of new legends could the Shadow Empire survive. The next chapter is 8 of What If Sung Jin-Woo's Shadow Army Ruled. In this chapter, Jin-Woo and his allies face the consequences of the ongoing cosmic war, interim peace efforts, healing, and the revelation of deeper cosmic mysteries that could alter their understanding of reality itself. Chapter 8. Aftermath and Horizons. The violent clash had ended, leaving behind a landscape marred by destruction and the silent echo of countless sacrifices. The Empire's forces had held, but the scars were deep, both on the land and within the souls of those who survived. Jin-Woo surveyed the battlefield from high above, the weight of leadership pressing heavily upon him. The victory was hard-won but temporary, a fleeting respite before the next storm. Across the Empire, shadows tended to their wounds and the humans began the slow process of rebuilding. Old tensions simmered beneath the surface as the fragile unity was tested by grief, mistrust, and relief. Yet, in the quiet spaces between war's fury, new truths emerged. Ancient relics and cosmic secrets uncovered during the battles whispered of a universe more vast and intricate than they had imagined. Jin-Woo and his closest advisors delved into these mysteries, seeking answers that might strengthen their legacy or warn of dangers yet unseen. The shadows, evolving consciousness deepened, sparking philosophical debates and guiding Jin-Woo toward realizing the true nature of his power, and the Shadow Empire. Throughout this transformation, Jin-Woo and Cha Hae-in's partnership became a symbol of hope, a testament to resilience and the possibility of peace between shadow and light. As new horizons beckoned, Jin-Woo vowed to protect not just his empire but the balance of all things. The next chapter is 9 of What If Sung Jin-Woo's Shadow Army Ruled. In this chapter, Jin-Woo and his empire navigate the complexities of peace, face new internal and external challenges, and uncover deeper cosmic truths. This chapter explores leadership, diplomacy, and the evolving nature of the Shadow Army in rich detail. Chapter 9. The Balance of Shadows and Light. The battlefield had quieted, but the war within had only just begun. Jin-Woo sat in the towering chamber overlooking the recovering empire, the dim light of dawn casting long shadows, mirroring the weight settling on his shoulders. Victory over the cosmic menace had been hard-fought, yet brief. The empire endured, but the cost echoed in every corner: fallen shadows, fractured alliances, and haunting questions. In the following weeks, Jin-Woo focused on rebuilding, not only cities and armies but the fragile trust binding his diverse subjects. His shadow army, no longer merely an extension of his will, grappled with evolving consciousness and the desire for individuality. Secret councils of shadows debated philosophy and purpose, some venerating Jin-Woo as their creator and king, others seeking paths beyond servitude. This divergence sparked tension and philosophical discord that threatened to unravel the empire's unity. Jin-Woo sought balance. He instituted new councils, bringing shadows and humans together to foster dialogue, governance, and cooperation. Cha Hae-in, ever by his side, helped mediate and inspire hope. Yet, peace unmasks hidden threats. Dissent brewed among humans who still feared shadow dominance. Rival factions plotted in whispers, waiting for cracks to exploit. Beyond their world, cosmic riddles deepened. Ancient relics uncovered during war held secrets that hinted at realms intertwined with their reality, realms where light and shadow danced in perpetual conflict and harmony. Jin-Woo and his advisors embarked on explorations beyond known boundaries, venturing into cosmic libraries, forbidden archives, and dimensions where laws bent like light through a prism. Their discoveries challenged everything: existence, fate, and the true power of shadows. Amid these trials, Jin-Woo wrestled with his own identity. Was he king, guardian, or something else? Could he define himself beyond shadow and light, beyond empire and battle? The chapter closes with Jin-Woo standing before an ancient monument, whispering a vow to protect this delicate balance, embracing not only power but profound responsibility. The Shadow Empire had evolved from conquest to stewardship, a testament to growth, sacrifice, and the eternal dance of shadow and light. The next chapter is 10 of What If Sung Jin-Woo's Shadow Army Ruled. In this chapter, Jin-Woo faces a new mysterious uprising within his empire that threatens both shadow and human civilizations. It delves deep into espionage, personal sacrifice, and the burdens of leadership. Chapter 10. The Silent Uprising. Peacetime brought uneasy breaths and hidden dangers. While Jin-Woo's empire healed its wounds and forged alliances, beneath the surface, a silent rebellion brewed, one that struck not with open battle but with shadows of sabotage and whispers of subversion. In the heart of the capital, a secret faction of shadows and disillusioned humans conspired against Jin-Woo's vision, claiming the empire's balance favored shadow dominance at the expense of humanity. Espionage spread through the ranks like a creeping fog. Supply lines were disrupted, vital intel stolen. Assassination attempts and mysterious disappearances sowed mistrust. Jin-Woo tightened security, deploying trusted shadow soldiers as agents of loyalty, but the enemy's identity remained elusive. Among the chaos, Jin-Woo grappled with personal turmoil, questioning how far one should go to preserve peace and what sacrifices were justified. His bond with Cha Hae-in deepened, their partnership tested in the fires of crisis. Together, they unraveled clues hinting at a deeper conspiracy, one rooted not only in empire politics but ancient grudges and cosmic destinies. The chapter unfolds in a tension-rich narrative of investigation, confrontation, and sacrifice. The stakes rise when a key commander is revealed as a double agent, forcing Jin-Woo to make decisions that weigh army unity against trust and honor. The silent uprising threatens to tear the empire apart from within, setting the stage for a reckoning that could redefine Jin-Woo's reign and legacy. The next chapter is 11 of What If Sung Jin-Woo's Shadow Army Ruled. In this chapter, Jin-Woo confronts the fallout from the silent uprising. Themes of redemption, leadership, and the human shadow alliance take center stage as the empire faces its darkest internal crisis. Chapter 11. Redemption and Resolve. Trust shattered in the shadows, yet hope flickered in the broken alliances. Jin-Woo stood amidst the fractured empire, determined to steer his shadow army and human allies beyond discord toward unity. The revelation of betrayal cut deep. A trusted commander's treachery was a wound not easily healed. But Jin-Woo understood that leadership required more than strength. It demanded forgiveness, insight, and renewal. He convened a great assembly of shadows and humans, calling not for vengeance, but for reconciliation and shared purpose. Jin-Woo emphasized that the Shadow Empire was not a kingdom of masters and servants, but a partnership, where light and shadow intertwined for survival and prosperity. With Cha Hae-in's aid, cracks in the alliance were mended. Old grudges were aired, truths confronted, and new bonds forged in the crucible of crisis. The silent uprising had tested their resolve but also revealed vulnerabilities to be addressed, not weaknesses, but lessons. Meanwhile, Jin-Woo's shadow army evolved anew. Shadows who had once questioned loyalty now became champions of coexistence, bridging worlds and ideals. Amid personal sacrifices and tales of bravery, Jin-Woo found renewed strength, resolving to protect this fragile balance against all threats. The empire, battered but unbroken, looked toward a future tempered with wisdom and tempered hope. The next chapter is extended chapter 12 of What If Sung Jin-Woo's Shadow Army Ruled. In this chapter, Jin-Woo embarks on a profound cosmic quest filled with perilous exploration, ancient mysteries, and defining revelations. Chapter 12. The Quest for Cosmic Truths, Extended. The wars had settled temporarily, and Jin-Woo stood amidst the fragile calm. Yet, the shadows whispered to him of mysteries deeper than any battlefield. They spoke of cosmic forces shaping destiny, powers that transcended monarchs and kingdoms, forces that could either elevate or destroy the Shadow Empire. Gathering his most trusted shadows, scholars, and Cha Hae-in, the steady light in his shadowed world, Jin-Woo prepared for a journey unlike any before. Their destination, a realm beyond reality, hidden within layers of forgotten dimensions and guarded by ancient cosmic sentinels. Crossing the threshold of the portal, reality distorted. Time slowed, warped, and folded as they entered the spectral library, an ethereal expanse where knowledge floated like stars in a formless dark void. Here, the rules of Earth no longer applied, and every step challenged their mind and spirit. The guardians of this cosmic library, towering beings of shifting light and shadow, blocked their way. They demanded proof of worth and purpose. Jin-Woo faced trials of riddles woven from time and space, visions revealing the origins of shadows and kings, and confrontations with spectral manifestations of fear, hope, and fate. At one moment, Jin-Woo was shown a vision of an ancient cosmic war where shadows and light battled for the very essence of existence. He saw the first shadows created by primordial energies and the balance sustained across eons. The prophecy of the eclipsing balance echoed through the chambers, foretelling a time when shadows born from light's absence would either consume all or unite for a new dawn. Jin-Woo realized that the evolution of his shadow army was but a fragment of this eternal cycle. As the trials deepened, the group faced physical and spiritual tests. Cha Hae-in, ever steadfast, guided their souls through darkness and doubt. Eldritch puzzles required unity and trust, and Jin-Woo's leadership was tested beyond combat skills. With every discovery, Jin-Woo's resolve sharpened. The Empire's fate was tied to these cosmic truths. To survive, evolve, and prevail, he would need to understand not just the shadows he commanded, but the very fabric of reality they were woven from. Exiting the spectral dimension, Jin-Woo clutched ancient relics pulsing with cosmic energy. These artifacts hinted at powers beyond shadow control, forces of creation and destruction he must master or be consumed by. Despite the triumphs of his quest, uncertainty lingered. The cosmos was vast, and the Shadow Empire but a flicker against its endless dark. Thus ends Part 1 of What If Sung Jin-Woo's Shadow Army Ruled. We've journeyed through the rise of Jin-Woo's empire, the battles, betrayals, and cosmic revelations that have shaped the Shadow Dawn. But the story is far from over. In Part 2, Jin-Woo will face new threats that challenge his empire and his very ideals. Loyalties will be tested, ancient forces will stir, and the fate of shadows and light will hang in the balance once more. Thank you for listening to this epic tale. We will meet again in Part 2, where the shadows deepen, the